Welcome everyone to this tiny little corner of the internet where we do low-level and live code Linux distribution and open source stuff here with our 20 years in the making T2 SDE, just mostly raw Linux. And we had this previously, right? We knew that already. Xorg, not only did they delete the original X isolated architecture for isolated 2D stuff, lines and so on, fills for vintage hardware, which annoys us quite a bit with our vintage systems, but now I found even more. So a new video and the question, the recurrent question, is it even worse, right? I have to wonder, after 20 years keeping everything alive, is enough enough? Do you want to share, like, subscribe, Patreon, GoFundMe and stuff? Because it becomes so much work, and it could be amazing, right? I said it before, after 20 years and 10, if not 100,000 developers, the state of the union, of the open source union, could be amazing, bug-free, but no, we delete stuff in Xorg and so on. So latest crazy stuff. Of course, I wanted to keep Firefox working or reworking with PowerPC, and because who else is doing Firefox with PowerPC, right? Share, like, and subscribe, Patreon, membership, and all the good stuff. Or merchandise, right? And previously, last year, we could still get Firefox working, an older version, because latest and greatest always, the only constant is change and regressions. So last year or so, we could still even cross-compile, as amazing as our T2 Linux distribution is, for 25 architectures. And Firefox was working for 64-bit PowerPC. Well, working with some quirks and fixes of still, like, even with fixes and quirks and stuff, still endiness issues of some UI stuff being RGB, red, green, blue swap, because endiness is hard in this day and age. But at least, hey, it was working on a G5, right? It was, I think it even came up on a Spark, Ultra Spark, and I think it was segmentation faulting on a MIPS, because SGI Linux. But now the situation is even worse, right? So that was last year, of course, many changes, version numbers, the only constant is change and regressions. Why should upstream? I understand they don't maintain it, but is it too much asked to not break it, not constantly change so much that even more breaks? Because now the craziest thing is last night, keeping here, like, pre-testing our trunk of T2 for the next release in some months to see, hey, how much with latest GCC, Rust and so on. I just need to rebuild that here shortly. That will, or does it? Oh wait, let's use cargo because the error is the same. With Firefox, I posted it already on our Discord last night. So now, and this is also why we put so much effort in Rust and Cargo, right? Because we need to have a perfect Rust and Cargo setup, like first-class AAA support, to keep Firefox building, right? As much as some people may like or not like that. And it's not only now this day and age, it's not only PowerPC, but PowerPC, and with that probably Spark and MIPS, mostly the same. I tested PowerPC, that is for sure the same. Even 32-bit RISC, right? Not only decade-old Spark and PowerPC stuff, even the latest and greatest. Yes, RISC 65 builds. I'm nearly the only one, right? Previous video as featured online as tech tips and level 1 tech here of having Firefox with graphic acceleration running on our Hi5 Sci5 desktop. Previous video there on the More main channel maybe. And so that still works because that's 64-bit, but I also wanted to support 32-bit because if you have fun on FPGA or smaller RISC-V systems, and I thought maybe it's fun. Sure, it will not be the highest performance, but it is always nice to have some full desktop, even if it's slowish. Also, maybe have a many-core FPGA system, right, or whatever. So just because I wanted to see if we can get supported, but it fails already Rust and Cargo, and the error is the same. Well, we need Rust and Cargo for Firefox anyway, although we could get away with not having a native compiler, but Firefox fails the same. I could build that. I don't have the log file. I could regenerate it. Probably takes 3 minutes to build. You can take my word for that though, because the issue is now that some libraries that they also use in Firefox. So whether you want to have Rust or Cargo or Firefox, you get this on RISC-V, 32-bit RISC-V and 32-bit PowerPC. And that also means if you have like a nice PowerBook or even SMPG4 because you like vintage PowerPC stuff or so, you can't even currently build Rust and Cargo. And I guess it worked last year. I don't remember that error, so that probably is a new one because I think I built 32-bit Rust. But anyway, so the issue is here that some core Xorg atomic integer 64 here of Z is not available here. Unresolved imports. So apparently the 32-bit architectures obviously don't have 64-bit atomics. And it is a small thing. I don't know if there will be more stuff failing. We could rebuild Firefox. I just wiped the log file because although I probably should, I usually touch the log file for T2 to continue. Yeah, so we can build this verbose because why not? This is why I don't have it at hand, but I'm confident that that will be. No, for RISC-V we need to do that for PowerPC because RISC-V it will error out early with CPU not supported. I've not patched that yet. Fun fact, so I wanted to patch Firefox for 32-bit RISC-V. That probably should be a 1 hour or maximum 2-3 hour job, probably, with my experience. But it failed already for PowerPC. So apparently they use the same library here, whichever that was. It probably should only epic thread rip there to 3 minutes or whatever that was, plus minus, give or take, whatever. We can also control through that. And that being said, while we wait for that log file to regenerate, the question is, of course, I mean, obviously I know already I'm not getting millionaire with supporting vintage systems, as much fun as it is, and as many are out there loving vintage systems, right? Whether it is your precious PS3, also probably I should for the views, of course, but yes, it is obviously a PS3, right? What else should I have on my desk? In the home office. And they, well, except the web is a little bit bloated. Yes, I agree, Firefox is not the most usable, but hey, PS3, right? Dual threaded 3.2, I think, gigahertz. Yes, in order and so on, and long pipeline and yada, yada, yada. And not so much memory, but also Spark. You could have even, I mean, we are even talking 64-bit Spark. I think 64-bit Spark also fails entirely. And 64-bit Spark, you could easily have, well, energy efficiently, not amazing and stuff, but if you wanted to sometimes enjoy the good old RISC systems for some weekend fun as a hobby, and not running it daily for energy use sake, it would be usable, right? But this kind of attitude of we delete, we don't support, it's like, it's tiring. So for me, the question is, yeah, I'm not getting millionaire with that yet, except maybe with a YouTube channel. So don't forget, share, like, and subscribe. I mean, should I even continue to support it, right? Should we, like, if everyone works literally kind of against us and deletes stuff and breaks stuff faster than we can patch that here live on YouTube, should I give up? Should I just allocate all resources to not only AAA YouTube videos or a microkernel? Should I even bother with this stuff? The next thing, yesterday I noticed test building some. I didn't test build all the 25 architectures. I don't have a thread ripper yet. I only tested Spark, as you see here, and in PowerPC. And doing that, I noticed even more Xorg servers are broken now, as you see here. So I had to mark, because they removed, we discussed this already in previous video, they removed, they factored out, well, they factored out Xwayland, which is not the worst thing, but they also factored out libxcvat, the X generalized video mode timing generation library now for reusability reasons. But with that, they also apparently deleted Remdeck support. So not only we had this previously Trident or so, or Glide or whatever, so like 3 or something of that sort. Other drivers already, and Novo, which we patched, failed. And that is also the open source and Xorg developer scene, right? Like it's not latest and greatest. It's like 1 decade ago. That's like, F you you don't deserve to use it anymore. Whatever. I understand why those developers. This is a really strange attitude, and this changed, right? 20 years ago, when I started Linux, it was always about let's support everything, right? We are so flexible and we write so good code that we just make this work because we can just, like, against all this company agenda of plant obsolescence and end of life support, especially if you brought a 50,000 euro SG Octane or Sun UltraSpark workstation and so on. And obviously a company like 5 years later, you'll whatever, gets this shit out of here. But these were at that time still quite powerful systems when Sun End of Life that and SGI was sold. I really wanted to say went bankrupt. So back in the day, these were still capable systems, and it's even people patched Nintendo 64 of where I would say is really unusable hardware for Linux into the Linux kernel. But on the other hand, we regress all of this stuff, right? So for Xorg, and this is really sad, right? I mean, and the crazy thing is just the other month, we fixed a bug like a decade, like a 15 or so year old bug in the Linux kernel for the Sun TCX frame buffer driver, which prevented this to work in QEMU. I only noticed that because I don't even have the hardware, like that hardware, I only have slightly different hardware. I only used that because I used QEMU for instant testing and virtualized emulation. And we just fixed a 15-year-old bug in the Linux kernel for Sun TCX to work again, just for the Xorg upstream people. Some months ago, it's like, yeah, F you don't get old-fashioned drivers at all anymore. And yeah, that is so sad. And it's like some people in the open source community work so hard to make everything work, and some people, my impression is it's mostly, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm biased and stuff, but I think it's also mostly those big developers, which all the news sites praise as all those mighty developers, all this pseudo 10x engineers, so of the holy grail of open source developers who are employed at SUSE and Intel, AMD, NVIDIA, and Oracle's Broken Linux and stuff, that mostly those big influential, and there is this build error, developers are, as far as I can see, in my impression, those who like delete because support is too difficult. Also like support, right? Like for 15 years they had to do nothing. Like support, right? Support is so difficult when basically all they had to do is like nothing. Like only either never touch it or only import bug fixes. But they choose to delete that, and some news sites also applaud that code deletion there for in the name of future. And I said this again, right? If you're not running non-x86 systems, you're not even compiling those. If you are not running x86 systems, they're also not loaded. Even if you run those modules are not loaded, they're not in your memory, they are not read from disk, and so on and so forth. It is ridiculous to argue that it saves anyone. Even they instead of spending zero time, they actually, like those famous Xorg and stuff developers, they actually spend quite at least some hours of deleting this, right? And with deleting, they always have some bugs and other regressions, and then some other revision of fixes and more fixes and continuous integration stuff, and factoring out libxcvd. So they even probably spend hours for all the like packaging even a new package, and that is not the easiest thing if you don't run a metadata source distribution like T2. Like for an RPM distribution, it's even all this overhead of packaging it, test building it, getting into your continuous integration, getting this in your upstream distribution proper and stuff. So probably hours, if not days of work for them. I mean, they don't epic thread stuff like we do here. So they literally should choose to spend hours of extra work of refactoring and packaging this stuff just to freaking break vintage and retro stuff, right? Really sad. But yeah, leave in the comments below. Probably need to make a poll. But if you want to support that, right, we have YouTube membership, GoFundMe, Patreon and stuff. And I'm not making this video I'm obviously not getting rich, right? For 20 years, I burn my free time keeping stuff to work, like without even having earned anything for 15 years until I made this YouTube channel to at least get some of my coffee compensated. Cheers. So yeah, here's a build error of PowerPC. I didn't make that up. That is exactly the same as the, so best when I type correctly here. And as you see, right, it's because this is massively parallel. That is somewhere All right, this error was a Rust error. They start with a angle bracket there. Yeah, atomic I64 didn't make this shit up. I think it was even, I would need to check if it's the same module, but I thought I checked last night, but that was midnight. Not sure if my memory works correctly unreserved. Cross beam utils, is it the same? Maybe not, or is it GitHub something? No, it is the same, crossbeam, yeah, just as I remembered. I probably could try to YOLO that and patch this atomics away and just use a freaking I64, not atomic, or I and U unsigned and signed integer. Non-atomic because nah, YOLO, whatever, who cares about atomics here? I just want the stuff compiled, right? So yeah, this breaks this careless careless introduction of code breaks nearly all, many if not all 32-bit architectures, including PowerPC and RISC 5 32-bit for Rust Cargo, and with Rust Cargo all this Rust Cargo related stuff, and Firefox, which I find crazy, but leave in the comments below. So we have some comments. 6cc. I've seen 6cc, but there is very little software, right? For me, I said this previous video right out there on the Moment channel. I probably, you know what, probably for the most viewers, probably should look it up. I even made a talk about Carbon. I've also seen Carbon. I'm aware of all those languages, but as I said in this Carbon talk, right, not even keeping all the stuff compiling, but for me, every other language and then plus cross-compiling. And this stuff cross-compiles, right? It's only their code is broken. Their code is not perfect, right? In case you were wondering, I also have a talk about perfect code here, right? And yeah, it is cross-compiling, right? The problem is every other language only adds more work to do, and it's obviously solves nothing, right? The problem is the cross-compiling, which we have under control. The problem is that they just constantly break everything and remove. Dragon framework, no, what is a Dragon framework? What, CPP Dragon? No, I'm not sure what. How to get started, how to understand V8 engine, how to get started, guess read their code, not sure what you want to do with it. Give 1 year to build tutorial for students and kernel level. Yeah, we will do low level and stuff. And so my idea would be, so that is basically the state, really not, yeah, for me it is discouraging, if not depressing. Leave me in the comments below. Yeah, I want, anyway, it's upcoming soon, right? If you're wondering why do I want to write a microkernel and a new graphic subsystem, yes, getting a little bit overkill here. The reason I want to write a new graphic subsystem is not only supporting vintage and retro 3D stuff, even some stuff that was never open source supported, but also I'm certainly not working with X and other Mesa and DRM stuff that is this way overkill complexity, right? I want something like 90% smaller and supporting vintage and retro and modern stuff, and also not work with C, right? All this stuff, obviously even Wayland is C and so on. The one thing I would try, so yeah, that is the state. It is set. I start to, and this with this, the Xorg drivers, and I also understand when all the modern hipster 10x open source engineer people want to use Wayland, then why do they need to destroy Xorg, right? And this new Xorg, since Xorg 3 has already some drivers deleted, right? Many probably don't know, YTech and other teasing labs and whatnot. Yes, they were not super amazing. They had only very little stuff isolated and stuff, but there were drivers, even isolated with 2D stuff isolated, that were already deleted in the X3 3 to X3 4 code modularization and cleanup transition, right? And now even more stuff. So with all the painfully reverse engineered and written drivers out there ever, so much was lost in these translations, and the only constant is change, which some people find amazing. As when you read some news sites, some people have nothing but applause for this courage. It's like the headphone jack, like removal of the headphone jack. Courage to delete old drivers. It must be amazing for some people. So the only thing is, so I wonder if we could either try, I mean, maybe we try, if we really want it, right? If you share, like, and subscribe, Patreon, GoFundMe, YouTube membership, and donate, and super chat, and super thanks, and all merchandise, right? We could try similar to the, but this is also work for me, right? I need to now spend hours of peeling the old CRT code out of Xorg and maybe makes this a library. I checked upstream, I have not found one, for example. And yeah, comments there, teach us programming. Yeah, share, like, and subscribe, right? I can only make more. I'm already stressing. My wife already says, even not only the Debian people tell me I should stop working on my little unsuccessful one-man distribution hobby. Even my wife is asking me in the meantime, why do I spend so much time on my unsuccessful one-man distribution hobby? So share, like, and subscribe. If you want that I do more work and more sophisticated, edited and pre-recorded videos that cost me double and triple, if not a magnitude more time to produce, share, like, and subscribe, right? Smash the like button. Tell your friends and family, your neighbors. Spread the word somewhere. And so yeah, factoring out this library, which I would need to check, and it's even more, right? Yes, by the way, in some, also I clicked it wrong down. All right, this was this, or maybe we should, whatever. Like that. Just need to get used to drag some merge in here. Otherwise, this merge stuff obviously doesn't work, right? And so yeah, we can try that. I probably run out of time because I also need to spend time with my family on a weekend. Yeah, go promote the stuff, or what Y is here? Why does this not pin Y? Can we not pin 2? Ah, strange stuff. Why is this so strange always? Anyway, YouTube not worth to spend more time. So Xorg, so that would mean peeling this. Oh, by the way, did we compile it? What was I building? Maybe that one? Oh yeah, probably that one. Touch. So what I probably should also, to have this log file at hand, did I? Oh no, I deleted it. I probably, but the thing of touching that is easier to type than rename. I should always rename the error to log or something. That would avoid rebuilding that. So factoring out this ramdeck stuff, the easiest, then also, like, if I want to make a modern package with Meson, then I'm not usually using Meson. I probably, like, it's not that much work, right? Not that much extra work. Just copying. How would I do that? I would copy the libxcbt, because I obviously don't want to learn, like, editing a Meson project from scratch. I have way too many build systems in my head. Obviously, always the easiest to just start with a template, so that would be use that as a template, and then copy the last working files in there here from mirror X, also best without typo. Was it probably should be Xorg server here. Was it Xorg server? So the question we probably should quickly check. Did I, by the way, post? I think I posted that link, yeah. Xorg server GitLab also. That's, by the way, my first coffee today so far. So far today, spending time with our child. And first coffee for today. So X server. I'm really short on coffee, I can tell you. Takes. So what was the first release? So 22. Why do this is very violent. So 21 and the previous 21.13. 21.1.4. Why is it 21.1? Where's 21.1? Oh, there's 4. Why is he? Ah, this is freaking Xvalent again. Ah, they have, wait a second, 20. Oh, wait, no, this is the wrong version. I look at the, do I at 120? What do I even say? All right, this is not even, so 120.14. Okay, we have both here. 120.14 and 22. No? Why is this 21? Is it? Wait, this is 22 though. Wait a second. Do we not have a 20? No, I'm confused. 22.1.4? Best with Xorg server, obviously. Why do we have the wrong version here? Wait, or what do we even freaking do here? 20. Ah, why is, ah no, this is bizarre. Why do they use 22 for Xvalent? So I constantly mix that version. This is a confusing version in this game. Why do they freaking do that? So 21 then, for whatever bizarre reason there. We have a Discord community, but thanks for asking. That's here though. If you need another share of, where even was it? Expire never. If you need that link again. But don't get all each day on our nerves with random nonsense, and we will ban you. We are ready to ban 2 people because they constantly got on our nerves with fake bullshit and other noob questioning. So diff urn xorg server 1 to 21. What 21? Okay, maybe I shouldn't do it so sophisticated. Let's save that. And so many, how many? 30? Yeah, so they deleted 100,000, so not total, they also, yeah. Was it capital CRT or? I mean, previously, if we make this a new library, we also would need to patch all those individual drivers to link with, I mean, keep the header locations compatible, but link with some, if we do that new ROM deck also. So yeah, here is that stuff, and this is what we would need to revert. But maybe we diff stat that and why is here no? Ah, here are RAM again. Yeah, all of those that would be, I guess. They also removed some BBE stuff. Is that all removal? So the changelog is so much that this distorts all the. Yeah. And again, most packages, most drivers don't even link against that, right? So that was linking that as a new shared object should just work. Probably famous last words nowadays that nowadays that they don't have freaking X-specific module loader infrastructure anymore. So those files, and also, yeah, for code lost, I mean, it's probably not even easily exploitable security right now. For the security, it's like, yeah, seriously, this Remdex stuff, what should that do for the security? Yeah, I guess I can copy those out already out of here. So that would be copy that to here. Also best with maybe even down there. And what else? I mean, we could actually, what cursor nodes are there? It's always interesting to read such files. This file, cursor initialization, shutdown. Yeah. We could actually, for quick test, see how much more stuff would be needed. If we, for example, this Sun stuff, I guess it wouldn't link. I wonder even if the Sun stuff, can we manually build it like that? Maybe our system is too smart to prevent that, but let's see. Video Sun TCX. Did I name this box 32? What? Build config. What have I done there? Did I? It could well be that I built for Spark 64 even. It even prevented the more modern Sun FFB fast frame buffer for Creator, and so yeah, that is it built, or didn't make that up either. Let's see, that was in Remdeck. That was there. So Remdeck. Copy. How much time is left until Junior? Oh, I still have a little bit of time left, though. If just I would have someone to make me more coffee. Time to go back to the office to steal some company coffee, at least on the weekend. So Remdeck, that was it here directly? You know what, let's copy. Do we have, yeah, we have that there. Let's copy only, you know what, let's only copy those one by one which we need, just to see. Even private, just to see how many. This was Spark. And the irony is, because I never had the Elite 3D, which I didn't even know, Sun Elite 3D. I once got donated 2 Ultra 30 with 290 or so megahertz, or 360, maybe one 360 megahertz, and one maybe a little bit slower. And one, of course, I didn't need 2 of these 2 beefy systems 15 years ago. So obviously I gave the second my best friend there in Berlin, who I grew up with and learned programming with. He still has it. He rarely turns it on though, obviously, as he has a proper day job and not this open source stuff, but he still has it. I thought his has an Elite 3D. I will soon check it. If he has the Elite 3D, I will swap the card with him, because the Elite 3D is a little bit different than the Creator 3D. Need to check though, but maybe I remember that wrong and he only has a higher resolution but less 3D isolating Creator 3D. And so I recently even packaged probably the nearly only Linux distribution who in 2022 ships the firmware, the microcode for the Sun Elite 3D for stuff not compiling anymore. So that was generic. What did we do here? Cross or something. User x11 include. Where did we have that include? Xorg. And let's see if that the goal. This will not just fix it because we would need to have the library code. So what's that even freaking builds? Will that not have a? That is crazy. Let's do that again and observe the source code. Maybe it linked and didn't, might crash on start, depending how that works. It might be that it built a shared object with this missing, or it only used the header without actually really using that, or for whatever reason. Let's see what's happening here. So TCX, do they not even use any Ramdex stuff? Let's check what is even, did they just, it is possible that they at times, because I actually wondered, because I know that many of those drivers don't have mode settings, they just use whatever the Sun open firmware, open boot firmware, IEEE 1275, I think. Stuff initialized that. Some, I'm not even sure if from Sun ever they supported another resolution. Some of them, early ones, might have a hard-coded one resolution, unless you maybe patch the, either reverse engineer the stuff, potentially patch the open firmware force or whatever microcode. Yeah, on a first glance, it even looks like it might not use it. We could, do we patch that away, or I could check what we could do for a clean experience. We could first commit disabling those for others now to document what was like. That should probably, by the way, very theoretically, I could even mark those to only support Spark. I think it is partially pointless to build some of them for Ultra Spark. Because Ultra Spark, I think most of them are SBOS and stuff, so I would need to research that card by card, but I guess most of them are, unless the very, very first Ultra Spark, which I never had. Maybe the very first Ultra one. Was it still SBOS? It is possible, who knows. Model numbers, E suffix on service code named Electron, of all things, have 2 instead 3 SBOS slots and added the UPA. Okay, that is interesting and crazy. There was even a Creator 3D. All right, because they have UPA. Yeah, crazy stuff. Also, list price of $27,995, right? Okay, given that okay, then they probably potentially could. I don't know if they would work. I'm not that much. I'm a Linux Spark expert, not a Sun firmware microcode and official SKU replacement. Because otherwise I was tempted to delete Spark 64 from them, but if the very first Ultra one had SBOS, then probably they could have a chance to potentially maybe work some whatever. But let's delete those, and then if we restore that, we could revert that. So like first document what upstream broke, and then we have it in the history, and then we can work on that and revert that if compiling due to upstream. Yeah, not to patch too much in the Xorg server and introduce unnecessary new bugs. I think I would, like, if enough people share, like, and subscribe, right, go out there and stuff. Maybe order some good order. If you're not into sharing, liking, and subscribing, maybe you need a new T-shirt or sweater, right? It's, which I also need to design some more for some more fun than broken Xorg code. Let's do the same thing for the more relevant Sun FFB, which I even have to test. Does it also? Wow, that also builds. Interesting. So fixed by just one header, and I wonder if they even have code in there. Let's check that for the Sun FFB. Maybe they just used to include this header always, and it's like, I mean, I could even send that upstream. I would need. The big question is, compiling is one thing, working is another, and it is possible that. Should we check that here? Do we have Spark? Spark 64. We build. Actually, you know what? Let's build that one job. Actually, we could actually. What I wanted to check is if there is any indication of the linker that something is missing. We can actually probably take a look here. Oh, we didn't configure yet. Ah, shit. Because then we can take a look at the log file, which I just deleted there on the other. So where's the linking? Compiling. Is there any? Okay, we include the header, so it would not. Okay, implies executable stick. So there is some smaller stuff to fix. There is no other diagnostic, so I wonder if there should be there one. I don't know what trickery they do. Anyway, I would not bet on that working. There, I would estimate there is easily a 50% chance of some missing symbols, but let's try. I wonder if we could mark. Wrong moment. If we could try to mark the whole header deprecated. Shit. Yeah, Epic throttling that so fast that it's hard to hit controls. See in the right moment. Probably should do it differently because I don't want to configure that manually. Shit. Okay, fine, we configure that manually. Well, manually we're copy and pasting this long stuff, obviously. And I mean, we could actually, the other way to check that, wait a second, how was this spelled? Was it all? Also best without that. I wonder, I mean, are we so unlucky that they removed the whole Ramdeck module from the Xorg server? That would also be the next thing, to be honest. In either case, it will be, you see there, I'm just investigating for 30 minutes, right? So keeping that maintained and working and so on will of course be some long term. No, we still have some, so they didn't remove the Ramdeck module which has the cursor stuff. I mean, this is so crazy, right? I mean, they probably need that for more other less vintage drivers. It appears, we can check that in the nice T2 automatically kept metadata. It is not a file though. Was it previously a file? No, it wasn't a file. Maybe it's some kind of built-in module. Potentially, who knows what stuff they have there. So then I wonder if we can actually, maybe someone thought they need to include that and could, I know, it has, wait. Okay, it has some cursor info pointer. Okay, we really need that. The question is, okay, we really need that header. The question is, has the Xorg server even still this cursor functionality? And yeah, totally amazing, right? Deletion of code, because I'm so not a fan, Leave in the comments below. And it was working, right? So they just broke it because they won, right? I wonder, with this Obama, yes, we can, and actually we with some other people made fun on the CeBIT when Obama was elected, and they, other scanner people, we were with at the CeBIT trade show with our scan stuff, they actually then said that year, a long time ago, yes, we scan, like not yes we can, yes we scan. Actually we can, yes we break. Like, not yes we code, yes we break code. Yes we can break. That is, yes we can regress. So we wanted to check Xorg survey question work, and that is all the stuff, right? Why do I live stream this? Also to put out awareness, to have a little bit of different opinion of deletion is amazing for the sake of deletion, and obviously to have means to finance it because it's just so much work. Obviously, and also to document what it takes to do that. Wait, so they have in Ramdeck, wait a second. They have that still in there, but don't, so they have that still in there. Wait a second. They have still some XF. Wait a second, so maybe we can just, so it's in this header, maybe we can tweak those to use another header and fix most of, not all, there will be drivers like S3 Verge and stuff that for sure, and others like maybe Glide or so. But the win-win, if that would be true, we could send it upstream. If we would have time left for that. If we want that, I send stuff upstream, right? Double, triple the time. Share, like, and subscribe, Patreon, GoFundMe, YouTube membership, and all the good stuff. It is not a drill, it's a reminder that I can only do so much work. Oops. And also the best of the industry of Sun and Red Hat included here, potentially partially wrong headers. So that actually fixed that apparently. To my surprise. But yeah, you need to do the stuff. I thought everything is deleted, but hey, at least for those it's only a little bit. Do we call this hotfix x56 cursor h? Wait, did I add fix cursor? Or do we call this Ramdeck? It's shorter and nicer looking. So then let's repeat that for all those drivers, I would say. Wait a second, I think we've already built one. Maybe that can easily fix all, but yeah, no other distribution, obviously, right? So last, probably soon. I mean, maybe I intentionally, why should I send this upstream, right? And help the Debian people, who probably the second last people who maintain that. Why should I fix other people's stuff when it works now for me, right? I would need to spend more time so other people can profit from my hard work here. leave me in the comments below. So cross, and for that they call us unsuccessful Hillman distribution, which I'm still not a fan of, to be honest. Some TCX. So then let's maybe revert what we just documented there. That is 58041. That was correct, except we now have some random garbage here, which I really hate. This bloody metadata. I have some bloody merge info, which to the date I still don't understand why it occurs. It's a major annoyance of modern. Don't want this bloody merge info. So then let's do that for each driver and see if that fixes each of them. Do we still have that in there? Yeah, we have. But the Remdex, so if this fixes the Sun drivers, maybe we revert the other ones as well. Let's quickly do that. Ah, darn, shit. We need to, where did I copy that? Here, right? We need to copy that header, otherwise this magically, of course, fixes. And let's merge the others. Where did I have this revert? Maybe here. Disable upstream broken, here the other. Let's reverse merge that too. And revert this bullshit as well. And let's see how that goes. But yeah, that is all the, before you do it, there is no try, right? There is only do. And before you do, you don't know how much. But again, this will not, the RAM deck removal is more. Comments there, Mac also like you. Yeah, just share, like, subscribe, watch this stuff, right? I hope you learned something. Recurring theme, I hope you learned something. All right, this ATI is more. We need to do that another day. This is not for today. But ATI, we also have in our Spark Ultra 5, of course. This is also why I do the videos, right? We need more people who fix stuff and not just break stuff. And so with each video, we hope you learn something. So glint could be, let's see, that was IBM. Okay, it also, to be fair, if it already includes this, so this probably needs the proper library then. This is for another day. Let's just see, S3, is it also, maybe they also, yeah, TI, of course. So yeah, those others revert, maybe not so fast. So now comes the test. So yeah, there is more of library creation stuff. Sun CG14. Sorry. Right, XF. That worked. Next one. So we obviously need to adopt the patch for the file name of each, and then we can't even rename it because obviously the surrounding code is always slightly different. I of course effectively use the history here to rerun the same hotfix. Of course, all the T2 tooling, right? Why can I, as the Debian people like to call me, the unsuccessful vomit distribution guy, why can I support 25 plus architectures and combinations? Because I mean, not only do I do this for 20 years, and obviously as senior life on YouTube, pour way too much of my time in there, but also automation, right? Previous video 1 year ago, automation is king. Not, yeah, automation, not developers, no, automation, maybe I should make this shirt actually. Sun CG6 of my fancy little Spark Station 2 and IPX fame. CG, where is it even in CG6H, of course. Oops, oh shit, this deleted the next line. I'm not used to this fancy modern. Wasting more time using the I inefficiently. Next one here, it's a handful of, and the craziest, yeah, don't get me. Also, speaking upstream, right? I noticed the NetBSD people always speaking like, why, like I should send more stuff upstream, as an FFPV fixed. I noticed the NetBSD people probably run a differently older Xorg server. I guess it looks to me they have still XAA, X acceleration architecture acceleration, and I noticed they implemented acceleration and cursor for some more drivers, so like CG6, I think, and probably others like TCX or so. So yeah, they have some hardware acceleration that upstream never had, but now it's deleted anyway, so. So at least as usual, right? Why do I make this negatively calling out other people's regression videos? Win-win, right? Not only documenting all the stuff, you hopefully learn something, including efficient use of proper operating system terminals. And also we fixed at least some, not all. For the other stuff, we need a proper RAMDEC library, but we even fixed it in a way that probably can get this upstream if we wanted to. If you share, like, subscribe Patreon and enough stuff. Soon the last. And then it's also it for this video. Trident, maybe Trident could be potentially out of the others. Question for the Managram project. I don't follow it. I tried to run it once, but yeah, it is as Reduxo as an interesting project. My own microkernel would have other priorities, but I appreciate the research they do. Now they have a RAMDEC pointer there, so Trident also needs more. And that was it. So ladies and gentlemen, we at least fixed some vintage Sun drivers. All right, something. Because I already what something. Why do we have here ffbh? Or maybe did I do that somewhere? What is with this file? I don't even. Yeah, I just run our own fix file helper thing wrong. Okay, let's revert those who, or should I, you know what, maybe I keep them as a reminder for my next work for rundeck stuff. Let's commit the other stuff. Oops. Shorten that a little bit here. Yeah, copied it. Which header even was that? I don't want to check. Personal if that's, yeah. There you have it. Nothing like some work on one of the best Linux distributions out there. A small step for vintage and retro hardware. I hope a bigger step for your learning experience. As usual, looking forward to your comments. Share, like, and subscribe. I hope you learned something, and see you soon for the next videos, live streams, code, and discussions to come.